teaching you that intimacy in sexuality go together, so you won't exploit each other. Why is it so easy for people to complain about exploitation of low-paid workers, or any other group? But sometimes when it comes to, that's all the church is saying about sexuality, is that we tend to be self-serving.
And
we are self-serving. Humans are self-serving. We always
people.
have been. We always will be. It's our instinct.
And intimacy. Once you have an intimate relationship with somebody, it's almost just like money. A fiduciary relationship. When you have a close relationship with someone, you're handling their money, you're a fiduciary. When we get into a close relationship with a person and feelings are involved, it's the same thing. But kids, would you trust your young kids with money? No, you wouldn't let a young child be in a fiduciary relationship. Would you let a teenager?
I do trust my young child with a certain amount of money, but that's my method of teaching her responsibility, the same way that I will teach her what she needs to know sex education-wise to set the stones for her to have a better situation down the road.
But you wouldn't let them be your banker.
No, but that's because certain things come with certain times.
They could lose all your money.
Well, I guess, if that's the way you want to put it.
Sexuality is they get into situations where there's a lot of intimacy, and they therefore have the power to destroy one another, and they do. The people,
but you're missing.
You're
missing the point.
Many times you do.
The problem isn't the lust. The problem isn't the sex. The problem is the psychological situation that is going on inside of these people. Because I have lusted for people, and I have had one-night stands. I didn't leave those people emotionally destroyed afterwards. There is consent. There is communication.
You're French.
Am I French?
The French can do that. I mean, the French have a good attitude about that kind of. I mean, you're practical. I mean, you have to. We do when we. People have one-night stands, right? The thing is I think what the real point is, what my essential Christianity, what my Catholicism says, doesn't expect me to go through life and never sin. It knows I'm going to lust. It knows the spirit is strong, but the flesh is weak, right? It knows you're going to do it. The thing is that when you are in your sexual life, you are always responsible to be careful of the feelings of the other person, because just as we expect teachers to be careful about the children they're teaching, just as we expect... Right, you do have someone's emotions in your control, in your hands, and you do have the power to destroy them. It's a trust and a confidence.
But that's where a general format sex education needs to come in while these children are young, and they are understanding their bodies, their hormones are kicking in, and they need to know that these are the parts of your bodies, but it also goes along with emotion, respect, privacy, trust. You can have all of those things with people you are having sex with that you are not in love with. And the Catholic Church wants to say, you have to love this person. You have to want to marry this person to have sex with them.
Well, I think you're right that when you do that, look, it's kind of like when the boys, boys have this is sexist, but boys have this gift. Boys are a little skeptical of any of that stuff. We never believe any of it. We always, when Sister Goody Two Shoes is telling us that, even when we're in second grade, we doubt her. Even when we're in second grade, we're like, well, that's Sister Goody Two Shoes. And that is a gift that, I don't know, I can't speak for women, but I can speak for a lot of men, a lot of boys. We always knew. We always know that there's a level of Goody Two Shoes that is elevated above the truth. And the truth is that you're going to fall below that standard, and then you have to be responsible in it. I think what the Catholic sex education purpose is, and I know you're hearing the Goody Two Shoes part, but I'm telling you the real point of it is this, is that they feel that teaching teenagers and everything how to put condoms on and all that stuff, they understand the biological disease protection, all that good stuff. They do. But their real sense is what's more important is the feelings, what happens to people emotionally. And let's face it. I mean, kids are tender goods, feelings wise. And they do destroy one another. They do break each other's hearts.
Even when it doesn't come to sex. I mean, friendships, that's where you go through all your heartache is through your teenage years. They're ruthless. But
sexuality is a deep level. That adds a deep level.
But I think there needs to be a bigger package. You can't have one without the other. You don't send someone off to war without their boots.
I think the truth is the unification point is kind of like what I got in the very liberal 70s, and I know that the conservative backlash, that there's I know that there are some Catholics within the Catholic group who are very almost like fundamentalist. I mean,
the Chris Youngs of the world.
Religious piety and fundamentalism is a problem.
Well, and let me make a quick side note, because it's anyone tuning in probably thinks this is like a bash, Catholicism moment, and it's not at all, because being in the world of sex ed, you see it from all angles. I have seen this from atheist parents. I have seen this from Baptist families. I have seen this from all different shades, sizes, groups, family types.
Families, really? How do they split? How is it manifested from the atheist family?
I'm just saying that, for example, I tabled at a college. Mm. I had my show sign up. Everything was fine. I had condoms. I had lubrication. It was all free for the students to come over and talk and ask questions and whatever. I pulled out a sex toy, and the woman who organized my tabling flew across the hall, and she was like, "What is that? What is that? What did you just take out of your bag?" And I said, "It's a sex toy." And she said, "Oh no, you need to put that back. It's hard enough for us to get these parents to approve us having sex education. Never mind that." And I thought to myself, first of all, this is a college, so why are parents still concerned about their 18-year-olds? This is when you're probably having the most sex and doing the more irresponsible things.
Helicoptering at the college age is kind of I was not being helicoptered when I was at college. On the other hand, I do see the point.
And, those were just general parents of college students who were not okay with a sex toy, which is clean, disease-free, teaches you about your body. There is nothing wrong with that. And for them, that was like massively taboo.
You should have demonstrated that it was clean. Like make a sandwich with the thing or something. Look, you can. It spreads. Look,
when you said demonstrated, I was like, "Whoa, where are we going with this?"
It makes julienne fries. It slices. It dices.
I'm icing the cupcakes. It's beautiful.
That's the strangest thing to me, is that the perception is that New England is this bastion of forward-thinking, progressive thought, and yet
absolutely
it is painfully puritanical.
Absolutely.
Painfully puritanical.
But the funny thing strikes me, I'm a Catholic. The Puritanism isn't in the Catholic Church.
Mike, I saw that when you were running for Congress. I got beat up a little for supporting you because there were these hardcore gun nut type leave me alone out in the woods, hillbillies.
The jihadists. They don't know it. But they're just like the Muslims. The Muslim jihadists. They're just Christian jihadists. They're the same. They want fundamentalism. Yeah,
they're the extremists in every religion.
They would stone you to death. I mean, it's like it's nutty. I mean, it's like calm down with the piety. I think the unification.
And that's why we should legalize marijuana.
I did
absolutely
when I was in fifth grade. This movie we saw.
We go back to the movie. Okay,
damaged.
so I'm going to say, please.
The good-looking blonde being shaved.
She never ate SpaghettiOs again.
Before she delivered. I mean, we saw it all. It was graphic. It was like, wow.
I remember that. It was a film strip when I saw it.
Holy mackerel. And I'll tell you.
Oh, you're talking about like giving birth? Is that what you guys watched?
Let me tell you, she was still a good-looking woman.
Miss Ballbreaker from Porky's.
She was still a good-looking blonde in a, it was like, this was a very graphic movie. So I got very liberal education.
Right, but think about how backwards that is. Like, here, kids, learn how a baby is born, but I can't teach you how it's made.
No, before that, the movie covered, soup to nuts. It didn't really, I don't recall I can't recall every detail of it because the best part was burned into my brain forever. But the thing is, it was teaching us all of it, but the emphasis on that is like, okay, so there's this physical part of it. It's not rocket science. The hard part is the relationship. The hard part is not exploiting each other. The hard part is not treating each other like a sex toy. That's the hard part, because that hurts people's feelings. It causes babies that nobody loves and cares for.
But that is what
there's
modern...
a baby that was abandoned in the street in New Bedford. They found the remains of a baby in the street. The fact is, human beings are not... You are sophisticated and educated and bright and intelligent, and you just exude that you have a humanist code of ethics. Whatever faith or ideas you have, one could just say you're no threat to anybody and you're a good person, right? But the fact is in the state of nature, life is nasty, brutish, and short. Thomas Hobbes,
absolutely.
Thank you. And some people live that way. And, the Catholic reaction, I think, to Planned Parenthood, for instance, having like a class for teenagers, and they're gonna have a light supper, and they're gonna learn how to put condoms on sex toys.
But hold on a second.
The reaction is that they're missing the point.
No,
it's
you
like,
keep.
I can teach that easily.
You keep
it's the
missing.
Relationships.
You keep missing the most important part. This is not about putting on condoms. Today's sex education, especially where I come from and the groups that I am involved in, are a lot about emotional, physical relationship abuse. A lot about consent. A lot about.
Well, that's good stuff. I mean, I think I'm all for that.
We don't go into a college and put a condom on a banana. That is not. I mean, that is part of it.
But see, when you take out the sex toy, don't you think you're distracting from that? That's an excellent message. But when you take out,
you really have to. I mean, I have like
if it's
a
really
few minutes.
Sex toy, you could just distract people. Ridiculous.
You use something that looks like a penis. You don't use,
But why use it at all? Your point is excellent. I mean, the point you're making, I agree with 100%. The idea.
Well, you need something to demonstrate on, no?
To me, you don't have. I mean, it's like, look, everybody knows what the parts are. You're talking about much more important.
Everybody knows what the parts are. Are you serious?
At college level, they did.
Are you serious?
You were at a college.
Are you serious?
And unfortunately, we have to hold it there. This hour has flown by real quick. How do people check out your podcast?
My podcast is blogtalkradio.com/raw sex.
What's going on with the Mike Gardner Show? Tell us.
The Mike Gardner Show is where piety goes to die. But we do, in deference to Alicia, we do have a theme song that sounds a little bit like lap dance music, because sexuality is interesting, So we get this little clip that begins the show with that's from a Van Halen show. I think Little Guitars. I think no, I think it's Little Guitars. But it's like and it's sexy, It's
stripper music, 80s stripper music.
Sex is a wonderful part of life. I just think I'm all for sex education.
Thank you, guys. I hope we can do this again soon.
We're done.
Check out TonyJones.org, Facebook.com/The Tony Jones Show, on Twitter @TonyJonesNRI, and of course, don't forget to check out the Coalition, coalitionradio.us. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you check out the podcast where you can listen on your schedule. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Coin-operated boy, all the other real ones that I destroy cannot